to the bone. So come take a bite off my smoky joint, and we can pop all night till the break of dawn. Come on, sing it. So go ahead, put on your raving shoes, top it up with a drink or two, mix it up.
What's going on, family? Welcome to the Tariq Elite Radio Show, and I am your gracious host, Mr. Tariq Elite, and we're going to chop up some good game on today's show. We're not going to take any phone calls on today's show. We're just going to spit some of that hot fire, spit from the survival scrolls, make it do what it do. So we're going to take a very brief commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be right back on the Tariq Elite Radio Show. Check out the new single, Learjets No Luggage, featuring Scotty ATL, Superwise, Stone the Butcher, and Solo Fresh. That's that Playboy Fresh whip music from King Made Music, and it's available right now on iTunes and all digital media. Go to kingmademusic.com to get those fresh beats for your next release. That's kingmademusic.com. 5links.net/Blackstar Enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your one-stop shop for all of your essential products and services, which range from affordable healthcare insurance and other healthcare alternatives. They also have business enhancements, energy, security, home phone, and cell phone services, as well as TV and internet services and much more. Go to 5links.net/Blackstar Enterprise, and under the products tab, that's where you can get the most out of all of the essential products that's on the site.
You're now tuning into the King of Game, Tariq Elite, on Tariq Elite Radio.
You better recognize.
What's up, family? Welcome back to the Tariq Elite Radio Show, and this is your gracious host, Mr. Tariq Elite, also known as Tariq Nasheed. Don't forget, family, go to TariqElite.com to get all that fresh fly gear if you have not gotten that fresh fly gear already. We got the button-down shirts, the boots, sunglasses, all that good stuff to keep you nice, fresh, and dipped. And don't forget to go to HiddenColorsFilm.com to get the movies Hidden Colors 1, 2, and 3. Speaking of Hidden Colors 3, I'm going to be doing a free screening and lecture out here in Los Angeles on the 15th, November 15th. So I'll keep you guys posted on that, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's chop up some game. A lot of stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about that street harassment video that has gone viral that a lot of people have sent me. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on the show. I want to get deep into that. And some other things I want to talk about. Speaking of being out here in California, all my California folks, let me give y'all a heads up on something. Let me warn y'all about this new scam that's going on out here. It might be going on in other places, but out here you got to be particularly careful. I saw a video, well, not a video, there was a story that Oprah Winfrey was down in Miami. And she was coming out of I think a restaurant, and she had her driver driving her car. And there were a lot of people outside taking pictures or whatever. There was a white lady whose foot got caught under the wheel of Oprah's car. So Oprah immediately jumped out, made sure the lady was fine. Oprah was taking pictures with the lady and, just making sure she was straight. But Oprah made sure she took a lot of pictures with the lady, and the lady appeared to be fine. The lady seemed like she was very glad that Oprah took pictures with her. And a lot of people were saying that, Oprah might have to break bread, which she might or may not have to do. But Oprah did something that was very smart. She got out and took pictures just to show that this lady was fine after the quote-unquote accident. That was very smart of Oprah to do. Now, I got into a situation out here in California earlier this year, a quote-unquote hit-and-run situation just like that. And I talked about it briefly on one of my early Ustream shows from this year. I was coming out of a drugstore, out of Walgreens down the street from my house, picking up a prescription. And this Hispanic gentleman literally just rode his bike right in front of my car. And I wasn't going fast, I wasn't even driving. I was basically pulling out into traffic. This guy was riding his bike against the grain and literally just rode his bike in front of my car. He fell down and got up, and we really couldn't understand each other. He was speaking, Spanish, pointing the finger, kind of sounded like he was saying, "You did it," but he got up, and I got out the car. I'm like, hey, man, damn, because I was kind of ticked off that the dude ran his bike right in front of my car. I'm trying to make sure that I didn't get any scratches or scrapes or anything on the car. And the guy, we try to communicate back and forth temporarily, and the guy just kind of walks off on his bike. He picks his bike up and walks off. I was like, okay. And I'm still like, Now, I should have taped that. I didn't tape it because I didn't think anything of it. This guy riding down the wrong side of the street. He's riding on a sidewalk. And he's definitely in the wrong. And I think he knows he's in the wrong. I'm like, next time, just be careful. So I get in my car, go home. Not even thinking about it. A couple of months later, I get a letter saying that I've been involved in a hit and run. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And I forgot all about the whole bicycle thing. I'm like, I wasn't in no damn car accident. They got me fucked to the up. And the letter was from the police out here. And they were saying, well, you need to holler at us before a certain date, or we're going to put a warrant out for your arrest for felony hit and run. I'm like, whoa, let me get on the phone with this lawyer. So one of my lawyers contacted the police, and they found out it was the situation with the guy on the bike. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. So I said, let me go down here. Me and my lawyer, we went down to the police station. I gave a statement with my lawyer. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. I got out and I talked to the guy, and the guy told the police that I ran him over, rolled down my window, yelled out, "You're stupid," and drove off. And there was a so-called witness to corroborate the story, and the witness followed me and got my license plate. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, this is such a scam that they got going on. So I gave my statement, and this was a few months ago, so I'm thinking everything is cool. So then I get another letter, I think last week, saying that I'm being charged for hit and run. After I gave the statement. And, this guy, the guy who ran into my car, he contacted a lawyer. They contacted my insurance company. He claimed every injury known to man. This motherfucker done got Ebola, broken foot, gout, chlamydia. He got everything because he ran his bike into my car. So he's just acting like he's totally disabled at this point. And my lawyer goes down to the arraignment and everything and come to find out that they've determined that I'm not at fault for the quote-unquote accident. The police and everything, they found out that I'm not at fault at all for the accident because they've acknowledged, and based on the guy's testimony, he was going down the wrong way. He was going against the grain of traffic. He was riding on the sidewalk on a bike, which is illegal in California. So he was definitely in the wrong. But they got a thing out here in California. Being liable for an accident and hit and run is two different things. That's two separate charges. I didn't know that. So if a person hits you and they're in the wrong, if you leave and they say, okay, this motherfucker was in an accident with me and he left, all they got to do is just say he hit and ran, and that's still another charge. So I didn't know that. But again, so now, even though it's been determined that this guy was in the wrong, now I got to prove that I didn't just run off. That's why I'm kicking myself in the ass for not taping or taking pictures of the dude while I was talking to him. Because that way they can still kind of hustle some paper. And unfortunately, I think my insurance company they got to pay this dude money. Now, no money is coming out of my pocket to the dude. But just the fact that I got to, get lawyers and all this old bullshit. And this is a scam that they got going on. It clearly sounds like the guy on the bike and the so-called witness are working with each other. And that's a cool little scam. If you know how to do it, that's a cool scam to run. Because they obviously knew the law and knew what to do and knew how to work it so they could get something out of the deal. So I say all that to say this. And again, and I'm going through a whole bunch of shit now, and everything is going to be fixed, but I had to go get booked. I didn't get arrested. I had to get booked and fingerprinted and all this stupid shit. And, my lawyer's a good lawyer, but just the fact that I got to go through all this stuff based on some scams some people are trying to pull. And although I've said this before, you might not commit a crime, but you'll never know when you're going to be accused of one. So you always got to be on your P's and Q's. That's why it's very important to videotape stuff. And I told people before, I got some video cameras, some miniature video cameras that I'm coming out with pretty soon. We're working on those now. And we got to just start videotaping, not just incidents with the police, but with everything. We got to start videotaping it, because when it becomes your word against other people's word, and the other people are in the dominant society, and in this case, there are a lot of more Hispanics out here than brothers, so if I go to court and there's a bunch of Hispanic jurors, they're going to be more biased to side with that dude, I'm assuming. You dig what I'm saying? Even though the guy's clearly in the wrong. So it's very important to understand that. And I say that to say, keep your cameras on you, family. If you ever get into any kind of fender bender or altercation, videotape, immediately take pictures. Immediately take pictures, so it never boils down to your word against theirs. Because that your word against theirs thing, it bites you in the ass. But anyway, I digress as far as that. As we know that Halloween is coming up next week, I've been talking about a lot of stuff on my Facebook and Twitter. A lot of the white supremacists are getting their racist Halloween costumes out the closet. They're already starting. There's a whole bunch of racist Halloween costumes. A lot of cats, white people, or white supremacists rather, were dressing up as Ray Rice, putting on blackface, putting on the number 27, and showing, having a girl with them that looks beat up. If they don't have a girl with them, they'll have a doll or something. There was a kid, a 12-year-old, I don't know how old the kid was, but he looked like he was under the age of 12, a child of a white supremacist. And he's walking around with blackface and a black doll dragging it around. I've seen pictures of women, white supremacist females, dressed up as Nicki Minaj with full blackface and afro wigs on. And I'm thinking, okay, Nicki Minaj doesn't wear her hair like that, so you're not really trying to be Nicki Minaj. You're trying to use Nicki Minaj to justify your racist caricature of black people. So it's going to get worse. And there was another family, I think it was somewhere in Tennessee, I think, that had their quote unquote Halloween decoration, which was a family of black people hanging from a tree in their front yard. That was their Halloween decoration. It was a bunch of dolls or life-size dummies that were black hanging in the yard, and one of the black babies had like a knife in its back. So there's this theme of hurting children. That one football player who was accused of abusing his child, spanking his kid, the white supremacists, they had an outfit for that. It was a white guy with a football jersey on and a baby, a black doll, and he was beating the doll with a stick. So the white supremacists are really going all out right now. They're going all the way out right now, and this is not a game, this is not a joke. Y'all think that the dominant society and the white supremacists within the dominant society are somehow, they've gone away, and they've not gone away. They're still here. They're still here down to practice their religion, which is white supremacy. And a lot of black folks are afraid to wake up to this, because when I was talking about some of these racist Halloween costumes on my Facebook page, there were a lot of black folks making excuses for the white supremacists. Oh man, they're just being moronic. It's not racist, they're just being stupid. Sometimes people can be morons without being racist. Everything ain't. And being in denial about systematic white supremacy is not going to change it. And a lot of black folks like to get into this whole deflective stage because they feel like they can't do anything about it, so let's just deflect. And that's just not going to work. And a lot of the other white supremacist supporters in the dominant society, they'll try to get you to deflect as well. They're the first ones to tell you, hey, just because this guy's has on blackface, it doesn't mean that he's racist or we're all racist. When people talk like that, you're just as much as a white supremacist as the other people that you're trying to defend. If you try to defend people in your community who are white supremacists, you're one of them, as far as I'm concerned, or I'm going to have to suspect you of being one of them. Because my thing is, if you're going to reprimand us, you're saving your reprimand for us, calling the white supremacists out instead of saying to the white supremacists, hey, why don't y'all take those outfits off? That's not cool. Because I never really hear that. I never hear the suspected white supremacists tell the confirmed white supremacists, hey, why don't you take that blackface off? Why don't you not hang life-size black dolls in your yard? That's not cool. I don't see too much of that. But again, I digress, ladies and gentlemen. And look, it's going to get worse. In the week to come, but it's going to get worse. You're about to see them go all out. Halloween gives the white supremacists a get out of jail free card, so to speak, or get out of trouble free card, where they can put on that blackface outfit they wanted to put on all year, and they can just say, oh, it's just a Halloween costume. I'm not racist. I'm just having fun for Halloween. So the real them can come out. So all your little co-workers that's smiling in your face every day, all your little drinking buddies, when they put their little racist outfit on, don't be surprised. Don't be shocked, but don't be in denial. And I digress. Speaking of tap dancing and denial, you like that segue? Did y'all see Bobby Shmurda, the audition video of him getting a deal at Epic Records? Now, Epic Records, I think they took the video down, but I think it's on World Star and a few other sites. But there's a video of Bobby Shmurda when he's getting his record deal at Epic. He got a deal at Epic Records, and Bobby Shmurda is a rapper. He had a very popular video and a song called Hot Niggas. I love that song, by the way. I like Hot Niggas. That's my shit. Some people say that he's kind of a novelty act or whatever, but who knows? The song is hot, the song is popular, and the major labels wanted to get a piece of it. So there's a video of Bobby Shmurda at Epic Records. He's in some conference room, and basically he's by himself performing in this conference room, and there's a room full of like white people in suits and just square looking white people, a couple of black people sprinkled in there, but it's just a room full of white people, and he's jumping around. It's very embarrassing to watch. I can't watch it. You feel so embarrassed for the brother, and I like Bobby Shmurda, and I like what he's doing, but just the fact that they made him do that. He's jumping on tables, he's dancing around. It looks like a scene from Roots or something. It looked real coonish. And I'm not calling my brother a coon, but two things about that. Number one, his song was already hot. It's already making noise. He didn't really have to go in there and do all that. Now, I know that some artists, they go to the record labels and, you know, they meet people, and you know, sometimes they want to see what you can do, especially if you're a singer. But him jumping around in that office like that, I don't think that was the icebreaker or the last straw of him getting the deal. I don't see how that would help him get the deal. The song was already hot. The song is already making noise. He could have showed a performance video. He could have said, hey, look, come down to one of my performances. That's what I would have done. I would have been like, hey, look, I'm doing a performance at such and such tonight. Why don't you come on down and see how I get down? Instead of hopping around an office full of white people, tap dancing, basically. And I think they did that and videotaped it. Understand that, because why did they videotape him doing that? Nobody ever thought about that. Why did somebody videotape that and then put it out? You got to think about that. Why did they videotape him doing all that on a camera phone? It wasn't like they did it like on a professional camera. They used their camera phone, videotaped it, and put it on out there like that. So why would they do that? Unless it's for the purpose of showing, look, we got these niggas under control. Look at what we make these niggas do behind closed doors. So that video, I think it was put out to send a message. Like, look, we still got this thing. We're running this thing. Look at him. Because when you see the video, you can see and you can sense that the people in there, the non-black people in there, you could feel them like, look at this nigga. You can sense them saying that to themselves. It's very embarrassing. And unfortunately, And he's a young dude, and again, you got a lot of young dudes who you don't have no paper, so if you're in a major label and they're about to give you like a few $100,000 advance or whatever, you like, okay, I'll buck dance for a minute. But I always say, go into a meeting with strength. You go in there with power. Because Bobby, truth be told, he didn't have to do all that. If I were him and I got the hottest song out, I'm not dancing around in no fucking office and jumping on tables. I'm like, look, y'all know what I can do. You see my numbers. You see my hits. You see I can draw in audiences. So get down with it. If you want to get down, cool. If you don't, I go to somebody else who want to get down. But if my shit is hot, I got one of the hottest songs out and it's popping, and I got it hot on my own, I'm not tap dancing on tables. Fuck that. But again, to each his own. But that video is very embarrassing. And I hate that they did the brother like that. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into that whole street harassment video thing. Let's get into that whole video about street harassment. And my thing is this. I've talked about this street harassment campaign propaganda. I've talked about this until I'm blue in the face. Y'all know I've been talking about it heavily for the last year. You go back all the way to October 2013. I've been talking about the street harassment propaganda campaign heavily. I was one of the first people to really talk about what it's really about. And I was heavily criticized. There were a lot of negative articles written about me by some of the Negro bedwenches out there who work for the white supremacists. Namely, a lot of people who write for ebony.com. Brother Pratap pointed this out. This brother wrote a great article about a lot of people who were slandering me. It's a real major coincidence that a lot of them work for ebony.com, which is white owned. Why is ebony.com's black writers slandering me all in unison? That's because somebody on top told them to, because they are trying to slander me because I'm bringing the truth about this whole campaign, and I've been bringing it from day one. I've been telling people from day one, this whole street harassment campaign, it's going to be used to replace stop and frisk. That's why they're going heavy with it in New York. In New York, they're going real heavy with it. And when I first heard about the campaign, I knew that there were some red flags there. So there's a new video that came out yesterday. It's a video of a white lady walking around New York. The video says that this woman walked around New York for 10 hours, and this is what she experienced as far as street harassment. So she's walking around, and the video was edited down to about 1 minute and a half. It was edited down. So throughout the whole video, basically, it's a bunch of black men speaking to this woman, and they're considering that harassment. A lot of the men were saying stuff like, hello, good morning, God bless you, how are you? Some men were like a little more thirstier, like, damn, hey, beautiful. And they were saying stuff like that. A lot of the guys were kind of polite. Then there were a couple of guys who seemed like they were kind of following her a little bit. Some people said that a lot of the footage on that viral video looked staged, and I agree to a certain extent. Some of that stuff does look staged because a lot of the guys who were speaking at this woman, they sound like they were mic'd up. You heard them pretty clear. Some of them sound mic'd up. Some of this stuff looked very staged. And a lot of people are talking about this video. This video's been out. It's gotten millions of hits already. So it's going viral. And the reason why this video has gone viral is because it plays on racial stereotypes and fears. It was very deliberate, and I've been talking about it since day one. This whole street harassment, they're using that as a ploy against black people, black males in particular, but black people in general. See, the thing is, this new viral video that's been on all the Yahoo boards and all these other websites that's been sharing the video, when you look at the comment section, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the comment section of all the places where this video of this woman walking around being quote unquote harassed. All the comments in the comment section are, most of them are white supremacists telling their true stories or sharing their true feelings. They're saying stuff like, well, look at this video. these niggas. Most of them are niggas. These niggas, this. Blackies, darkies, it's just white supremacist heaven. The comment sections are telling the truth. White supremacist websites like Stormfront, they got a whole page dedicated to this video. So this street harassment thing, like I've been saying for the last year, it's playing right into the good old-fashioned white supremacist stereotypes about the rapey black man. And we got to understand this, family, because now, fortunately, more people are waking up now and seeing it for what it is. Now a lot of people are saying, hey, wait a minute, this looks kind of racially biased. Hold on, there's a racial undertone. So now people, more people, not a lot, because there's still people who are naive, but now more people are waking up to the racial undertones to this whole thing. And you got to understand, see, when you're poor, and this is why we got to get our economic game up. When you're poor, you can be exploited for money and political gain very easily. And because black people have been economically disenfranchised, we're very easily exploited by the dominant society for their economic and political gain. See, the thing is, we can't afford to be gullible at this point, because I've heard black people who completely or pretend to miss the point of this video. I got some people saying, man, this chick in the video is just doing it for attention. Some people are talking about she acting stuck up. You can't be that gullible at this point. This ain't about nobody getting attention. This ain't about feminism. This is not about harassment. This is not about men losing their rights. This is about systematic white supremacy. I want you to be very clear. At the end of the day, this is systematic white supremacy. This is what this whole campaign is about. They're using age-old racial fears for political and economic gain. And the black man rape myth is a great moneymaker. It's always been a moneymaker. And see, what this does, this gives the white supremacists justification to practice racism on black folks. Real heavy stuff. And what's interesting, on this video, it shows basically black man after black man speaking to this woman, and they're calling that harassment. That's that whole Emmett Till thing. You whistle at a white woman, that's considered sexual harassment. You deserve to get killed, lynched, or die, go to jail. And on this video, on the bottom on YouTube, it says, donate to Holla Back. That's the name of the foundation that's promoting this whole street harassment campaign. It has a donate button. To help us fight street harassment, donate on the bottom. So what you gonna do with the money? Donate for what? They're never clear on that. It's basically that whole boogeyman scenario. Because the white supremacists, they use the black man as the boogeyman. It's like the black man is going to get you. The black man is going to get you. We don't know why, and we don't know how to stop it just yet, but just give us some money and we'll figure it out. It's that scare tactic thing, and it always works when it comes to black folks. See, they're monetizing the fear, just like they did in the 1970s. I talked about that before. There was this whole anti-rape campaign by a lot of white feminists in the 1970s. And that anti-rape campaign was basically white women who were suspected white supremacists saying, hey, look, now that segregation is gone and there's integration now, these scary black men are all over the place, and we feel like they're going to rape us. Look at them, look, with their big afros and them dicks all over the place. They're going to rape us, so we need money to start rape counseling centers. We need money. So they raised a lot of money in the 1970s with these anti-rape campaigns. And they excluded black women, by the way. Just like with black women, they're excluding them from this street harassment thing. See, what happened, and I talked about this last year, they used a handful of black women to justify targeting black males. Let me say that again. With this street harassment campaign, they used a handful of black women in the early stages to justify coming at black males. This is when I knew there was a red flag popping off with this whole street harassment thing, because the white supremacists, they know how to play chess. See, black folks play checkers. We see an opportunity, we just jump on that opportunity. We don't think 10 steps down the line. We see any opening, we jump on it because we've been deprived so long, any kind of pat on the head or butter biscuit we could get, we'll just jump on that. We don't think about the negative ramifications coming later on down the line. But what they did, when I saw that the suspected white supremacists in the form of white feminists were coming out to black females talking about, hey, I know we've neglected you all for so long, but come on, join us, sisters, for this new campaign we have against street harassment. Aren't you tired? Tell your story about street harassment, black women. Aren't you tired of street harassment by all these black guys out here? Now, when they did that, that was a red damn flag. And when I said that, some of the Negro bedwenches were attacking me left and right on social media. They can't attack in real life because they're not taken seriously in real life. But on social media, they were attacking, which I don't give a shit about that. Those are called social justice warriors. Look that term up. But that was a red flag right there, because I know the history of white feminism, and white feminism could give less than a damn about black people or black women. They never did. So all of a sudden, when they come out wanting to help you after just decade after decade after decade of systematic neglect, all of a sudden they want to join hands with you and help you and be your sisters in the struggle, all of a sudden, your antenna should have already went all the way up. So I knew that was a red flag, and I said, wait a minute, they're setting up the con. And when I saw how they were doing it, they were getting a handful, and fortunately, most black women are smart enough not to fall for the okie doke. And that's the good thing. But that, unfortunately, you don't need all black women to jump on board. You just need a handful of Negro bedwenches, just one or two. You don't even need that many. But you get one or two Negro bedwenches and push them out in the forefront and get them to co-sign this street harassment and to shit on black men and say, hey, yeah, black men be harassing me all the time. That's all they need. They'll find a couple of Negro bedwenches, promote them heavily, then discard them. Because now what they want to do is get the black females to co-sign the street harassment, so when the white supremacist female, when they do it, they don't seem like they're racist, because they can then point to the black females that were saying the same thing. That's the new tactic now. Just like with black males who are coons. They'll push out a black male saying something negative about other black people and then co-sign the black male. See, well, Don Lemon said black people need to put their pants up. I didn't say it. Just like that video I played on my Ustream show of Cliven Bundy and that one black dude with the cowboy hat talking about black folks be begging and black folks looking for handouts. See, they point to the black guy basically regurgitating white supremacy, so they, the white supremacists, can hide and shield themselves away from criticism. That's a new tactic. Well, not a new tactic, but it's been a very useful tactic in the last 20 years. But the thing is, when the suspected white supremacist females started pretending they wanted to work with black females, that should have been a red flag. Now that they don't need the black females no more, the white female supremacists are coming out doing what they were going to do all along, which was make this a white female victim, black male predator phenomenon without actually saying it. Because when they talk about street harassment, they always say, well, street harassment is not cultural. I mean, all races street harass, but they keep focusing on black men. You understand that? So my thing is, I don't give a damn about what they say in their mission statement. I'm looking at their execution. I'm seeing how they're executing this thing. That's all I'm looking at. And what happens is that people will try to deflect and get you to deflect onto other subjects and get off the subject of white supremacy and what they're doing. Because I've had a couple of people on Twitter today, well, Tariq, do you think street harassment actually exists? I'm like, don't even play that game with me. Because right now I'm not about to take the focus off the white supremacists and deflect because you're trying to use shaming tactics. Right now, I'm looking at the white supremacists and their agenda, and I ain't taking my eyes off them until I see what's going on. And I see what's going on, and I'm not going to take my eyes off of them. I'm calling them out. I'm not going to let you get me to deflect, which is what they want you to do. They want you to get into a bickering conversation about men and women harassing each other on the streets or whatever. And that's an issue we'll take care of after we get the white supremacists out the mix and after we get them to stop trying to create laws against black people, because that's what this whole street harassment campaign is. And again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but this whole thing is about them trying to get laws against black people, especially in New York, to justify getting you out of these areas, to justify gentrifying the whole neighborhood, because New York, they're getting black folks out of some of these areas, and they need justification to do so. They were doing it with stop and frisk. And remember, when stop and frisk first came out, they were saying, well, look, we got this new thing called stop and frisk. It's not going to target any race particularly. I mean, we're going to stop and frisk everybody. But as we know, when they started to implement the stop and frisk, who did it target? It was targeting black people mostly. And when people say black and Latino, I don't even do that. I don't even say black and Latino, because these are Africanized Latino. So they're black too, as far as I'm concerned. I don't do the black and Latino thing, because what that does is create a false equivalence with black people in the Latino community. In the Latino community, they don't never say black and Latino. They only speak for Latino needs. And they're very specific about their needs and the exclusion of us. So I don't do the black and Latino thing when I'm talking about issues for black folks. I'll just be very clear on that. But stop and frisk targeted black folks. The white supremacists gave other white people a pass with that. And with this street harassment video, a lot of people have been asking questions, and the director of the street harassment video that has gone viral, because there was a guy walking around in front of the young lady. He had a camera on his back, and he quote unquote directed this. And a lot of people are kind of asking him questions like, hey man, since you walked around for 10 hours and this woman was harassed by hundreds of people, how come it's nothing but black people on this damn video? And the guy who filmed this, he said that there were white guys who verbally harassed the woman too, but they couldn't use the footage because of the audio. There were car sounds, there were sirens, there were dogs barking, so the footage wasn't good, or they were out of the camera shot and all this old bullshit. So you notice whenever we talk about laws that affect black people or campaigns that affect black people, and people say, hey, wait a minute, this looks kind of biased, and then they point to, well, white people do it too, something always happens to the footage of white people doing it, or there's always some excuse to not throw white people under the bus. Just like with the whole war on drugs. We know that more white people do drugs than black people, but the majority of black people in jail. They're like, oh, we don't know. I mean, it's just how it goes. Nobody seems to know why white people are not being targeted if they're doing the same thing like black folks. Well, I know it's systematic white supremacy. White folks get a pass and black people do not. Because this is propaganda. That's how the game is set up. That's called racism. So this whole denial of racism, let's just stop that. You can't really justify it. That's what racism is. So I don't get deterred from that. I don't let anybody take my focus off that. I'm always looking at what the white supremacists are doing and how they're orchestrating everything. See, the thing is, again, man, the easiest way to get financial support is to say the black men are coming to get you. That's that Birth of a Nation thing. The first blockbuster movie in America was the movie Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation was a blockbuster film. It was a film about black men, and they had a whole bunch of white men in blackface running around in the movie trying to get white women, chasing white women, about to rape them. And then the Ku Klux Klan came in as the heroes to stop the black men. That movie was the first blockbuster film in America. Highly popular movie when it came out, and that movie was used to justify practicing white supremacy on black people all around the country. That movie gave the white supremacists all around the country justification they needed to lynch black people, to keep them out of economic situations, to discriminate against them as far as housing and just basic human rights. And people are using this justification, this propaganda as justification to keep black people disenfranchised economically and financially and educationally in New York. This is what they're using. They're going to use this as propaganda to disenfranchise all black people, not just black men. Let's just be very clear on that, because when you read some of these comments on message boards, they're not just saying, well, damn, these black men ain't shit. It's like all these niggas ain't shit. Look at them. See, that's what we have to understand. They're not cherry picking us. They throw all of us, black men and women and children, under the bus. When you see these Halloween costumes of black folks getting lynched, they got black men, women, and children lynched. They're showing costumes with black men, women, and children with white people in blackface acting like black men, women, and children. So all of us get thrown under the bus. So we got to understand the game, fam. And we can't keep making excuses for white supremacy. We got to stay up on top of the game and empower ourselves so we can protect ourselves from that. Because when you don't have money, when you don't have power, when you don't have resources, when you don't have political influence, the dominant society, they can throw you under the bus and say and do anything about you, and you don't really have a way to respond. You don't have a national media to say, hey, this is incorrect footage. You work for the dominant society, so you can't really speak out against that. You can only get paid to co-sign it. That's why there's so many black people who are so-called journalists co-signing that, and they should be called out too. That's another thing. Black people, if you see any other black people who are journalists, especially the ones with the Negro bedwench mentality, co-signing street harassment and creating laws for black people, they should be called out, because they are promoting treason. These people are treasonous when they do that. They should be called all the way out, family. Shout out to ebony.com. Look at the people from ebony.com and look at some of their comments on Twitter, and that'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. White-owned ebony.com. There's some of the main culprits of co-signing white supremacy. The only thing ebony about ebony or black about ebony is the name. Think about that. But anyway, family, let's not fall for the okie doke. Understand how the game is being played. Don't let nobody pull the wool over your eyes. Stop co-signing systematic white supremacy. Stop trying to deflect. Stop putting your head in the sand, trying to pretend something doesn't exist when it's right there in your face. Stop all the buck dancing and what about black on black crime deflections and all that, because that's not going to keep the foot of white supremacy off your neck, family. Anyway, y'all, that's been today's episode of the Tariq Elite Radio Show. Don't forget to go to hiddencolorsfilm.com. That's another thing. Y'all need to show your whole families Hidden Colors 1, 2, and 3. Y'all need to make that a required viewing in your homes, family. Go get that at hiddencolorsfilm.com. I'm a holla.